January 15, 1947. A woman's severed body lay in a Los Angeles vacant lot. She'd been dead for days. No one knew yet that her killer would never be found. Elizabeth Short was 22 years old. She worked odd jobs in Los Angeles, bit parts, hostessing, nothing that led anywhere. By early January 1947, she was living in a hotel on Los Feliz Boulevard, sharing a room with a woman named Marjorie Graham. The two had met weeks before. Graham was in nursing school. Short was waiting for her boyfriend, a major named Matt Gordon, to return from India. He never would. January 9, 1947. Short left the hotel. She told Graham she was meeting someone. She didn't say who. Marjorie Graham didn't ask follow-up questions. She didn't know, as she went about her evening, that she would never see her roommate again. Neither woman could have known what was already in motion. January 15, 1947. Morning. A woman named Betty Bersinger was pushing a baby carriage through an empty lot at 3815 South Norton Avenue. The lot was overgrown. It sat between two houses in a residential neighborhood south of downtown. Bersinger saw something on the grass. At first she thought it was a discarded mannequin. It wasn't. The body had been bisected at the waist. The upper half lay separate from the lower half. There were cuts on the face, forming what looked almost like a smile. The body had been carefully posed. There was no blood pooled beneath it. She'd been killed elsewhere, then arranged here. This was deliberate. This was a message. The LAPD arrived within hours. Fingerprints identified the victim, Elizabeth Short, the missing woman from the hotel. She'd been missing for 6 days. The autopsy revealed she'd been dead for at least that long. The coroner found evidence of blunt force trauma, lacerations, and what he called precise surgical knowledge. Whoever did this knew anatomy. The press descended immediately. The Los Angeles Times ran the story on January 16th. By January 17th, every major newspaper in America was covering it. A young woman, brutally murdered, left in pieces. The details were sensational. The nickname came quickly, the Black Dahlia. No one knew then that this case would remain unsolved for 77 years and counting. The investigation exploded into chaos. The LAPD received over 600 tips within the first week. Confessions poured in from disturbed individuals across the country. Some were genuine attempts to help, most were fantasies. The department interviewed hundreds of suspects. They pursued dozens of leads. Nothing stuck. Nothing led anywhere solid. By February, one name emerged with particular intensity: George Hodel. He was a wealthy doctor in Los Angeles. He had connections. He had means. He had a documented history of violence toward women. The LAPD considered him the prime suspect, but suspicion wasn't evidence. Hodel had alibis. Hodel had lawyers. Hodel was never charged. The case went cold by spring. The leads dried up. The press moved on to newer stories. Elizabeth Short's murder remained officially unsolved. Unofficially, investigators had their suspicions, but the department lacked the forensic tools that exist today. DNA analysis didn't exist. Fingerprint databases were limited. The investigation was stuck in 1947 technology. Decades passed. New investigators revisited the case periodically. Books were written. Documentaries were made. In 1949, a man named Janice Knowlton published a memoir claiming her father was the killer. In 2018, a retired detective named Steve Hodel, George Hodel's son, claimed in a podcast that his father had confessed to him. Neither claim was proven conclusively. The forensic evidence from 1947 has degraded. The original crime scene photographs are archived but incomplete. Witnesses who were alive then are gone now. The case file remains open technically, but practically it's closed. No arrest has been made. No conviction has been secured. Elizabeth Short was 22 when she died. She remains 22 in every photograph. What the Black Dahlia case reveals about 1947 Los Angeles is darker than any single perpetrator. It shows a city obsessed with scandal. It shows a police department overwhelmed by publicity. It shows a press willing to sensationalize tragedy for sales. It shows how a young woman's life becomes secondary to the narrative around her death. The truth about Elizabeth Short's killer may never surface. The person responsible may be dead. The evidence may be insufficient. The case may simply belong to that category of historical mysteries where facts are abundant but truth remains elusive. What we know is this: she existed, she mattered, and then she was gone. The Black Dahlia case has never been solved. It remains one of America's most famous unsolved murders. Every few years a new theory surfaces. Every decade someone claims to have found the answer. None have held up under scrutiny. The case endures not because we've solved it, but because we haven't. That gap between what happened and what we know, that's where the mystery lives. Subscribe for a new unsolved case every week. Mysteries that history hasn't answered yet.